Gale nearly got a flick on that.
Can he put it into the path of Latterline? He's thinking about going himself. Latterline, and Latterline! Oh, that's a wonderful goal!
They want to Benjamin. Just holding off of Benjamin, twisting, turning, that's
It's Liam Henderson to deliver. David Gray has scored.
Welcome back to Down the Slope. Once again, I am joined by Craig and Harry. Of course, since our last episode, there has been some content, Harry, which you unfortunately missed out on. Just how are you, my friend?
Well, I was good until I got hit with that one, jeez. No, I'm joking. Very much enjoyed. If you've not yet watched the Down the Slope vlog when they went to Poland, stop watching just now and go and watch that first, then come back to us. Absolutely cracking job for you, pair. The third goal is potentially my favourite bit of content I've ever seen on YouTube. I didn't expect it, and I literally got chills. So very well done. But in the grand scheme of things, we know the rules. Hibs are how Harry's are. So Hibs are like tired. So I guess I'm tired.
You're tired.
That. Aye.
That was a really quick and easy plug from Harry there, Craig. That's an experienced marketing man, innit? Or comms man, straight in off the bat. How you doing, my mate?
I'm not bad. Just about recovered. Got the voice back from the midweek antics. But it was a class trip, and like Harry says, I would thoroughly recommend checking that one out. I took myself down 3 rows for the trouble of that footage, so give it a watch.
Well, actually, look, I know we've not done a podcast since Thursday night, so it's probably we'll maybe just focus our attentions there before we come on to St Mirren game and obviously deadline day as we're recording as well. Harry, I'll come to you first, maybe with that sort of more. I sometimes find maybe a more rounded view on a game if you're not so much if you're not there, but maybe not been drinking all day. Probably got a slightly clearer picture of what happened throughout it. How did you feel the game went watching from home?
It was the first half. I felt was very humbling. I went into the game expecting us to actually go at them, and I think we saw the side of them. Like they're a very good team. I think that we saw it in the offside, the goal that got disallowed at Easter Road, but I don't think they really showed that for the rest of the game. But I think first half they strolled it, we couldn't get near them. And then second half, David Gray must have went around and shoved a rocket up everyone's arse because they were flying out the gates, man. Me and Dad were literally yelping. Like, I reckon every dog in the Leith area was crying after hearing the squeals coming out of me and my dad. It was high-pitched as fuck. I literally done a lap of the living room after what you got the third goal in, and that for Chaiwa was absolutely mental. And as everything always seems to happen with Hibs, it's just not fair. Like, why not just let, like, whoever the footballing god is or whatever dictates football, why not just let us have an extra 2 minutes and enjoy it? Why can't I have the biggest FOMO of my life and you guys have the best day ever? Like, why does it always have to happen in stoppage time as well? Like, just score immediately. See, when we scored to make it 3-1 Hibs, just score then. Like, don't wait until the last minute of the game. Like, does man nothing? Mm-hmm. But the main thing for me is as I always say in Europe, if they put in a performance in which we're proud of at the end of the game, because we're playing against big dogs, like the Legia Warsaw aren't slouches. I'm proud of what the team put in, and that's.
So I was going to say, what's your general feeling after the sort of 3 ties, the European campaign? Obviously, just came up a little bit short from the ultimate goal, but 3 difficult ties. How's it left you feeling?
It's one of those ones that, like, it's probably been my favourite season of Europe ever. But like, if a fan of another club heard that, they'd be like, "Mate, you didn't even make the league stage. That's pathetic." But given me and my experience, I still really enjoyed the journey that we went on. To be honest, I thought it was a cracking 3 ties. I think we went to the death at literally all 3 of them. Like, absolute slobber knocker fights back and forth. Like, it's what you want. European football is about that excitement. So for me, I'm happy with what we got. Obviously sad we didn't get through to the next stage, but I think we gave as good as we got.
Yeah, Craig. Well, so I'd imagine a slightly different viewing experience for yourself than Harry. Try to talk about the trip and the game in general, and just your overall thoughts on the European campaign.
I'll start with the game. I don't know if I quite agree with Harry's assessment of the first half. I don't think that they strolled it, and I don't know that we were that miles away from them. to be honest, I thought they probably were the better side, but I just didn't feel like they were like that comfortable.
I thought that was a consensus, to be honest, mate.
Eh?
I thought that was a consensus. I thought everybody thought, like, most of the people in the chat and stuff were saying. Sorry,
I didn't feel like that at the time, to be honest. Maybe that was just a day on the booze, to be fair, that done that. But I genuinely was not that disheartened at half time. I kept saying or you and I kept saying to each other anyway, we just need to win the game. We're only one goal behind on the night, so win the game on the night and we'll see where it takes us. And obviously, like you say, we come out the second half, and it was different. Like it definitely was a change from the first. Just all over them like a rash. They didn't really know what to do. We had multiple chances outside the ones that we scored. Again, that we maybe could have put away. The Boyle one, that's not one that he should have put or could have put away. It was just a pot. It's repeated in my head about 30 times now. So I think we're unfortunate to find ourselves out, but as a whole, like I said after the game, I'm just so happy to be able to watch Hibs the way we are now. It's absolutely class. The last, I'm going to even include the last year, to be honest, because it's pretty much summed up Hibs as a whole. Such a roller coaster. Obviously, the start of last season, absolutely terrible, and everything was so doom and gloom, and we were all every week coming on here unhappy. And now it's pretty much the opposite, really. Although maybe the start of this season, the end results haven't been absolutely out of this world. I think the performances have been really, really excellent in the European campaign, up against some really, really top sides. I don't think anybody can, if you actually have watched the games, then I don't think really anybody can have a pop at us, because we've competed with some really, really top sides, and actually not just competed with them, we're better than them in a lot of stages of the games. So no, I'm really content with Hibs just now. I think the league performances will improve as well, now that we've not got the Thursday Sunday stuff. The international break comes at a good time for us. So nah, I'm sitting here quite positive. And as to the trip, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was very good. Very,
Yeah, I
very
think I think just for me on it, I think I wouldn't necessarily go as far to say Hibs, deserve to go through or anything like that, but I think we absolutely competed. I mean, that's there's 3 ties over 2 legs. All of them went to extra time. There was nothing to really separate us from FC Midtjylland, Partizan Belgrade, and Legia Warsaw. Across all 3 ties. Obviously, and we've been absolutely exceptional in the 3 away games. If that was like a mini league, I'd imagine we'd have come out near the top of it. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like points and performances and stuff. Like it would have. It's disappointing, and it's disappointing in the sense that it does feel a little bit hollow. That we'd probably not got the rewards that we deserved, but not disappointing in a like for fuck's sake, Hibs kind of way.
Yeah.
If that, you know what I mean? Like it's like a gutting disappointing instead of an angry disappointing. Yeah, look, we'll part that. We'll probably come back to that just a little bit later in the episode, sort of when we look at this sort of first month of the season, just as a whole, and sort of where we're at and what we think the club need to do maybe in the next couple of hours as well. Let's move on to the St Mirren game. A few changes obviously in there. We probably all expected a fairly slow and maybe maybe like passive performance. Maybe would that kind of coming into the game? Maybe certainly something that we were expecting. Harry, how did that sort of opening phase of the game go for you?
I don't know, like we obviously went behind the goals and watched the Old Firm, so I don't know if like I was just put off football for the day. But being honest, like no often do I go to Hibs games these days and I'm bored. But I actually thought pretty much the whole 90 minutes, I actually thought it was just a shit game of football. I thought that St Mirren came and they were set up to not be broken down and not give away many chances. I know we carved them open a couple of times. Hoylett definitely should have scored early on, but I think they were a well-drilled team. It took Celtic 90 minutes to score against them. They got a draw away at Ibrox, if I'm not mistaken. It was at home to Rangers, wasn't it? Sorry. And they've got a draw at Easter Road. Like St Mirren are a very like decent defensive team, and and we just looked leggy. Like I think honestly the worst one for it, when Bowie came on, he looked like he'd just done a half marathon before coming on the pitch, man. Like I'm not blaming him at all. He's put an absolute shift in the last month and a half, so absolute fair play to the boy. But I just think I'm never normally an advocate for an international break, but I'm not judging the players based off their performances yesterday. I just think they looked like a tired team that need a break. And coming the end of the game, I was happy to take a draw.
But yeah, like I was as well, like happy, like we could have lost the game. Obviously, like, there wasn't the end of the world, and before the game, I probably would have accepted it. But I think Hibs were the better side still. I don't think we were at our very best. We obviously all had some conversation about it after the game and in group chats and stuff. And I think you and Craig are probably more on the side of, not that we got away with it, but it probably could have been, maybe had we lost the game, you maybe wouldn't have had any issues with it. Whereas for me, all the best chances fell to Hibs. Hibs were the team probably out with, I think, maybe for the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half that dominated the ball throughout. St Mirren didn't offer anything in open play. And I think Hibs had more than enough chances to win that game of football, to be honest. I think going in expecting a slow performance probably lends you then to view it through that lens as well. When things maybe aren't quite as like fluid as they maybe were against Kilmarnock or at points against Legia or whatever. But I think on another day, like Junior Hoylett scores for 8 yards. So it's an absolutely inexcusable miss. Like it is like, and Rocky misses a good chance in the first half. He misses another good chance in the second half. Josh Milligan has 2 or 3 chances after he comes on. I think and before we even talk about the referee, do you know what I mean? So it's disappointing again for me that we've failed to win at home, but I still think Hibs done enough to win that game. Craig, what was your sort of overriding feelings coming out of
that? Maybe I take a wee bit your point about if you go into it viewing it through a certain lens, that's kind of maybe what you're going to see. But having watched the highlights, I probably, even though we do have some good chances, and I do accept that, I just felt over the balance of the whole game, chances aside, I thought a draw was probably a fair result, personally. I think we just, to me, felt flat. I thought we looked a bit flat, the stadium felt a bit flat, and we just kind of struggled to get to fluent.
It can be flat and still deserve to win a game.
No, I would probably view it more as if I could have won the game rather than absolutely should have won the game. I personally don't feel like we absolutely battered on the door, and it's one that I was coming out going, fucking hell, how did we not win that game? But yeah, we did have good chances. Hoylett's got to put it away. That's really poor miss. And I'm not like probably having a go at him or anything. He's got it wrong at the end of the day.
It's a sitter.
No, it is a sitter, but it's a mistake. It's a mistake. He's just took it slightly wrong. He should have opened his boot up rather than toe poking it.
Can I just throw out on Craig's point there? I felt more like we should have won the game at home to Warsaw. I actually thought we made better chances in that game than we did at the weekend.
We definitely did.
But I think we should have won that. But it was a much more, in general terms, I think when you play a team like that, it's a much more open and expansive game of football. I don't think against St Mirren, they don't play a style of, and to be honest, nor the Hibs, that's necessarily conducive for a game of 16 shots each, peppering goals, end to end, like basketball style football. It is going, St Mirren naturally slow the game down. It becomes a bit sluggish. They play for set pieces. Couple that in with the fact that Hibs have played 10 games in the space of a month. I think all that combined, but I still think I didn't see anything at the weekend that would make me think they're a problem for us or they're a.
No.
I think we should have won the game of football personally.
No, like I said, I do accept your points, but I definitely do stick with I could have rather than should have won it. A loose could have.
And my rule nowadays as well is if someone's being positive, I'm not going to shoot them down for it. Fair fucks you, and we should have gubbed those bastards. I agree.
It's not. No, I think Craig is like. I do think Craig makes a good. It's maybe it's definitely not one where you go, Jesus, we were battering the door down or anything like that. But it just, I never felt like they were going to. I certainly never felt like they were going to score again, and I never really thought. I didn't. At points in the game, it's going to be 0-0. You know, like that, but because I felt like just there was small things that probably weren't quite going our way. Like Nicky Cadden got into put some, not just him, but there's some really good balls into the box. Like their defender slices one and the goalie manages to adjust and gets it down. Like I don't want to keep going back, but the Hoylett chance inside the opening 10 minutes, like that, it just totally, you're talking about the place being flat. Like that probably bursts whatever energy's in there as well in the ground. You go, fuck, here we go, sort of thing. But generally speaking,
Craig. I want to be the one that lights the flame for the dynamite. Like it's a little line and it's going up, guys. Just pretend it's going up to Ewan's screen, all right? So this is me lighting it, all right, Ewan, talk to me about their goal and why it is unjust.
Oh, you can't tell, right? So I've got 2 points, right? So I understand that Gogic doesn't go to play the ball, right? And I get that. Why is he instructed to do that if it's not to distract and pay, like to stop the goalkeeper from, feeling out he can come and collect it, or to get a defender to go with him or whatever? But I understand that. The one, like, that's fine, cool. You can't just blow offside if someone's in the vicinity of a ball. I get that. John Ayunga blocks Jack Iredale. I don't think he fouls him. If Ayunga's onside, I've got no problem with that goal. But his role is to block and therefore interfere with play, and he does that in an offside position, stopping Jack Iredale going in with his man, who coincidentally scores the goal. So it's not a question of whether it's a foul or not, because I don't think it is a foul. Ultimately, he just steps across him. But how can you say he's not interfering with play when he's literally, from an offside position, prevented the man who's marking the person who scores the goal unopposed? Do you know what I mean? Like, so if he's onside, I've got no problem with that goal because it's not a foul. But he absolutely is interfering with play when he steps across Jack Iredale from an offside position. I don't think that's wrong.
Can I just say, I think it's something that they very intentionally I think they've noticed that referees aren't giving it, because several times throughout the game, me and Craig were like, surely that should be offside. Like, surely their players just interfered with play. There was one point where the ball went over Iredale's head, and then he ended up having to kick it out the pitch because he was being chased down by a guy that was offside, and it never got flagged for offside. And we were like, but the only reason he's kicked it out the pitch is because he's been pressed. So I think that they've just worked something that seems to have fallen through the cracks.
It's a very grey area one. It's
a very well worked free kick if he's onside.
Yeah,
but he's no.
I think St Mirren probably worked on that, knowing that there's a good chance that it would be allowed, because
blocking happens all the time. It would be allowed if he's onside, because it is absolutely not a foul. Like that. Like,
talking like the Gogic at the front post. Like I don't think Gogic was ever. I don't think it was ever in their plan for him to make an attempt on that ball. I think he was there just to be in the way, and then leave it.
So early.
Yeah.
Like,
and there was 2 or 3 of them that went really early. And do you know what? Before we get onto roasting them, I've got a wee bit of sympathy with the VAR officials, because I feel like that's a fairly difficult one to dissect in the moment, because there's so much going on.
It is by definition their job, though, and they took fucking ages.
Nah,
no. Like they took fucking ages to get.
Anytime you try and give them credit, you just get shot down. Eh?
No, but what are you giving them credit for missing? It's obvious.
I'm not giving them credit. I'm not. I'm just saying I do have a bit of sympathy with them, because I think I've watched it and I'm still saying to myself, fucking hell, like, is that interfering with play? Should that be allowed? Should it not be allowed? If it was in the Hibs game, if we are St Mirren fans, we definitely think that it should be standing.
Martin Boyle made a movement across the front post for Kieran Bowie's goal against Michelin. It got disallowed.
UEFA.
I know. It is the but.
We'll come on to the UEFA are different to Scottish officials as well, because we've already seen in 2 games there's been 2 fundamental handball decisions that have gone off the rails.
I watched Sports Scene and I thought I'll listen to what the pundits are saying back to it. I mean, when I realised Peter Grant was one of them, I was like, well, whatever he says is fucking pointless. But I think Andy Halliday's a pretty sound and decent pundit, and he talks about how there's a block, but all he says is how Chaiwa and Clegia are playing 2 of them onside. The goal scorer is onside, but Ayunga is still fucking offside. It's
aye.
And the Gogic thing, I've not really got any interest in saying Gogic is or isn't offside in terms of whether he plays the ball or not. I think at the ground I was more hung up on that because I thought that was why Smith couldn't come out and get it because he thinks Gogic is obviously going to get on it. Gogic goes early to make Chaiwa include, not to go all fucking set piece coach nonsense, but Gogic going early, that naturally Hibs might drop, which Chaiwa include you did. But for half a yard, they've scored a fantastically worked set piece goal, but he's offside. Fuck off.
Let's get rolling on to the next one. Craig.
What next one?
The next shite refereeing decision.
Oh, the penalty. Right, sorry. I mean, I think at the time I definitely claimed it without actually having a clear view on it. It's one of these ones where you just shout for it, and then the guy in front of us brought up on his phone, and I've seen it, and I've gone, oh, we're getting it, it's fine. And then obviously they stopped the game without the ball going out of play, and as soon as that happened, I turned around to Harry and says, they've stopped the game, so it's obviously a penalty.
They're going to send them to the screen straight away or something.
They have to give it. The fact that the VAR team looks at it for that long and still doesn't send them to the screen is a farce in the first place. I'm really not a fan of this when it's a decision that clearly needs a referee's decision to look back at it. Why is the VAR team looking at things for so long to then just tell the referee to go over and look at it? Because if you're looking at it for that long and say go and have a look at it, that means you obviously absolutely think it's a penalty. If it's one way you're not sure, watch it for one angle. Right, we're not sure. This might need a look, but go and have a look. And the referee makes his mind up on whether it's not is or isn't a penalty, not the VAR team, because the referee's the guy with the whistle.
They should just
send
say
him across to have a look.
They should just say we think you should have a look at it. It does hit his arm. Like, you decide if you think it's you know what I mean? Like, because you're right, Craig, if they sit in a studio and look at it for 3-4, I don't know how long it was, a couple of minutes, and then send them over, they'd be as well as no sending them over.
Just blow the whistle for them.
Aye, like, other than fucking Kevin Clancy at Hearts when he got told, by the way, you've got that fucking wrong, mate, and he goes, nah, I'm going to make this all about me and give the fucking penalty anyway. Stupid.
Aye.
It's him, and he was on VR. I fucking hate it. Do you know what that is? That's because I said I didn't think he was that bad in the fucking pub before the game. That's all my fault.
I do it. The bottom line is it's just a penalty. It is a stonewall penalty.
Can I just throw it? I don't actually mind that if a referee, I'm not saying this is what I think, but if they've seen it on VAR and they think, you know what, it's too close to him, he can't react to it. His arms have obviously not in a natural position, but he's just kind of reacted and that's what's happened. It looks bad because it's hit his arms. I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying, like, if that's what he thinks, there's nothing they can do with, like, I think it's harsh to give a penalty in the last minute of a game. Wouldn't care if it wasn't a week after Rocky literally dives, makes an incredible acrobatic fucking block and a penalty gets given. All I want from officials, whether it's UEFA or domestic, just be consistent. Like, I love knowing the rules of football. Like, me and Craig, when we played Bonnyrigg at Tynecastle, when we found out that you can't be offside from a goal kick, I thought that was magic fun. I think that's brilliant. I don't know the handball rule. When I read the rules, it doesn't make sense and it's not applied. All I want is consistency. Like, either that, like, this shouldn't be a discussion. That's either a penalty or it's not. But there's different officials will operate differently, and that's just not how football should work. Does my nutting.
Harry, you're saying if that's a penalty, and talking about the guy's just is just too close to him. It's a natural reaction.
It was hypothetical. I think
I know, but I'm just gonna pick up on it. It's if that was the goalie that had done that, we'd all be saying how good a save it was. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I know it's close to him, but his natural reaction there was to throw his arm in the way of the ball going into the net. And that's
one thing I said.
No, Craig, you're wrong. Craig, no, you're wrong. Peter Grant said it was going to hit his chest if he didn't put his arm there, even though his arm was fucking.
Are you serious?
I know. Literally, this is what he said. I don't think it's a penalty because if it doesn't hit his hand, it's going to hit his chest. However, he does do himself like a disservice by jumping into it. So one, he's jumped into it. Two, his arms out fucking there, and three, the ball's gone in the fucking top corner.
Potentially a red card as well, actually, if we're gonna, because he stopped it going into the net, and it's a handball, deliberate handball for me.
One thing I saw St Mirren fans say to try and justify it, and I didn't see this, but just throwing it out there, is apparently he thinks it hit off his stomach before hitting his hand. Like, he thinks it's kind of bounced off him and then hit his hand as opposed to directly hit
Still
the
going in
arm,
the
which I
net,
know
though.
is another fucking weird rule that somehow changes it.
It doesn't matter. It's going in the net.
Okay. But that's what I'm saying. It's just so stupid. So
this
stupid.
is like
I know it's. I'm not saying he's made a conscious decision to put his hands up there, but he's made a reaction to put. Oh, my hands are up.
as you know, Harry would have had a 78% chance of winning from that position as 70% of penalties are scored.
Don't start us on that one.
I didn't think I was that arsed. There you go.
Well, I am.
Matthew McDermott's a fucking clown, honestly.
Can I just throw one
him
more
and David Dickinson, man.
One more thing about VAR, and I say it every time. I was even saying it for when they scored. If the whole point in VAR being brought into football is so they can correct clear and obvious changes. If you're looking at something for more than 90 seconds, it's not clear and obvious. Just stick.
They
with
must
what
have got rid of
happened
that
on the
way.
pitch.
They must
It's just
like
so
that.
frustrating.
That directive must have changed, and I don't just mean in Scotland. Like, you look all over the place, like that. Like, we were talking about the Fulham goal that got disallowed. I know we're not going to get too wrapped up in it, but it feels like the directive must have changed. And to be fair, I think clear and obvious is a bit of a get out anyway. Just get the right decision, whether you think it's a clear, because if it's it's like just get the decision right. It doesn't matter, like clear, like, because then define clear and obvious, like you say, like there's that gives get out clauses for no giving things or giving things. Like, just get the fucking decision right. You're not making split second decisions. You're pausing games of football to, like, so from the moment that's hit his hand, they'll have started checking that. They then take a goal kick. Take a little bit of time.
I don't think it went at the pitch. I think it was.
Oh, right, sorry, I got cleared. And we play for
yeah.
what, 30 seconds maybe before, and then he blows the whistle. They then look at it for another couple of minutes. For a fact there's an angle behind the goal because Sports Scene had it. So there's going to be, unless the FA don't have a similar angle, because
It's unacceptable if that's the case.
the one thing I would say is, I think from the main stand camera, I don't think it looks as bad as it does from behind the goals. And behind the goals, that's where I think behind the goals is where I think from the main stand it looks kind of like that. And you go, well, it's close, but behind the goals, it's that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's his arms out, and it's like, so. Maybe they don't have. I'd imagine Willie Collin might be doing if they're doing that VAR review again this year, then I would imagine this sort of international break will maybe be the first point that they'll look at the first batch of games. So it'll be really interesting to hear both decisions. I think we've been on the end of the wrong decision on both of them. And Hibs should have won the game 1-0, 2-0, whatever. Like, it's pish, mate. It's absolute pish. Anyway, yeah. Let's putting that together. It's 5 points from the first 3 league games. We're still unbeaten in the league. From the first sort of month of the season, we've competed very well in Europe. 5 points in the league, and we're through in the League Cup. I always like quite asking you these questions. Like, would you have dealt on that? As we were setting up to kick off away in Denmark, if you'd been told that the way it played out is what you would have got, would you have accepted that deal, Harry?
I think then probably not, because I wouldn't have the context of like how much we enjoyed the European trip and stuff, and like obviously going all that way to not get to the league stage whilst not winning more than one game. I probably would say no, because I would even like before like the fixtures were announced, I was saying like I wanted us to stockpile points at the start of the season. I think it's really important when you've got European football to ideally get a couple of wins on the board before the break. But I think like with like it's funny, I would have said no then, but I would definitely. I'm happy with how it's went. I'm obviously not over the moon. I think an extra win would have been ideal, but I think we're in a really good position, and I think the break comes at a good time. Hopefully, I know we're going to talk transfers soon if we get another body or two in. I just think the club's in a good place at the moment, and I know it sounds daft, but at the start of every season now, I just think to myself, are Hibs at risk of getting relegated? And the answer's absolutely not. Like, it was kind of like last season going into it. I was like, we could finish anywhere from 3rd to 12th, and this year I think
3rd to
I'd be
5th.
shocked if we weren't like top 6. You know what I mean?
What I'm going to get used to put a couple grades on things. If you could just maybe put a little grade on that the first part of the section there, sort of from the end of July through to obviously the end of August there. Do it on like an American scoring system, A, B, C, D, and then we'll get your opinion on it all, Craig, as well.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, because Craig hasn't even spoke yet, so.
I'll give it a B plus. I think
a B plus.
I think if we'd won one extra league game, or if we'd got to a league stage, I would have given it definitely an A something. But I think we're just below that level.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm in there as well with Harry. I think I'm disappointed. I'm happy enough with the league point return, but I'm disappointed again with the teams that it's come against. 2 home games and away to Dundee. You strip out all the other context that is 3 games you'd be looking at win. Do you know what I mean? If you just take it just purely league basis, but there's still 35 league games. Do you know what I mean? There's still a long, long way to go. There's harder games around the corner, but yeah, I think had we even just won one of the home games, been at that 6 or 7 point mark, would they just made it that little bit sweeter. No complaints with the European performances. So I think I am, that sort of B plus region with yourself. Craig, what about you? How are you feeling after this sort of first little block of the season's finished?
It's going to be a bit of a boring answer, to be fair, but pretty much exactly what Harry said. He's pretty spot on for me. I'm content with the league performances and results purely when I think you add in the context of the mental and physical exertions of Europe. I think that point return is fair enough, and although we didn't get the result in Europe that we wanted, I thought the performances were excellent. So, I think to give it an A would be a bit fucking accepting mediocrity style, but I'll say B plus because we didn't get there. But if had we held out for 4 more minutes in Warsaw, it would have been A plus 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 plus.
Aye.
And see, the thing is as well, it's like I think the reason it's a high B is because like high B, the opposition that we faced, like we put in really good performances against good teams. Like if we'd been knocked out against like some Diddy team, it would be probably like low BC. But because we actually played against decent teams, that's why I think I'm comfortable with a high B.
Is massive.
High
B. I can't remember what Partizan done in Europe last year, but Midtjylland got out of the Europa League group phase and did Legia not get to the quarterfinals of the Conference League.
And beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Aye, so just looking, they got to the playoff round of the Conference League Partizan last year, so they done exactly what we done, but they started in the Champions League. They just lost. They played 3 ties and lost them all. But I think the only probably little bit that is disappointing, isn't it, that we've not won at Easter Road yet, and it would just be nice to. I mean, Dundee United had it. So it's not last year's Dundee United team that are playing after the break, but it'd be a big one just to pick up and win. Not to look too far ahead, but just get that not a monkey off our back, but just keep the good times rolling after the break as well, right?
That's it. I think the club's in a really good place. We just need to keep being sensible, Hibs. I know it's a word that Liam uses on Twitter quite often, but I think it's apt. I think the club's just been sensible. It's weird. We normally get at least one clanger every couple of months, and we're like, why does this football club still exist? But we've not really had that moment in a while, which is refreshing.
Yeah, we've been 2-0 up at home to Kilmarnock, and I think we're 2-0 up, weren't we?
We're 2-0 up, but then they
2-0 up and playing like prime Barca, I know.
But that's not anything the club's done. That's just players being knackered, eh?
Aye. Well, look, it's transfer deadline day as we're recording this. Let's put a wee caveat in there. It's only 8:15 in the evening. The window doesn't shut till 11, so we do apologise if you're listening to this and everything that we're going to say is entirely outdated by the time it's even released. However, it does appear that Lyndon Dykes is going to be signing on loan for the season. Keradine Izdan has not long tweeted, who's a fairly well-respected journalist at the BBC, that the deal is done. meaning that Hibs could line up with an Australian Scottish internationalist and a Scottish Australian internationalist as a front pair in Martin Boyle and Lyndon Dykes this season. This rumour sort of broke when we were in Warsaw, Craig, around Lyndon Dykes. Do you think he perfectly fits that mould that we've been talking about that gives us more that Bowie role?
Yeah, definitely. We floated it fairly early on actually in the transfer window. Absolutely a speculative one at that stage, but I think a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, I probably wasn't that keen on Dykes, and I wouldn't have taken him at Hibs. But I think the last few years, I've seen the value of him in the Scotland squad, and what he offers out with the goals, I think is massive. And I do think that we've been screaming out for a while about needing that sort of extra option up top for Bowie to come on and be physical and hold the ball up and be a bit of a nuisance. So I think he offers you all these things while being a pretty decent footballer at the same time as well. So I think that's definitely, if it happens, a positive one. Like you say, it's a shame because normally we'd be doing a live and we'd maybe hang on for announcement. But it's good to part for anything to be on a deadline day and be in a position where if we do get it, I'm not going to say it's as much of a bonus because I do think the squad could use that extra option, but it definitely does feel like even if we didn't do anything, I'd be very happy with where the squad is, which is a very rare thing. So yeah.
We'll come on to the squad as a whole just in a little bit. Harry, it wasn't met with resounding or universal optimism when this was first rumoured. There was some people maybe a bit similar to Grant Hanley. Where do you land on it?
I just think I've seen a lot of people in chats and stuff talk about how Dykes will bang the goals in, but I don't necessarily think that'll be his main focus. I just think he's a really good player at like helping the attack, essentially doing what Bowie does, but without being quite as good at his overall game. I just think that like if he came in and he scored 5 goals, I don't think that'd necessarily be a bad season because I think that he'd do a lot of like link up play and like kind of helping the team with attacks and stuff. So for me, I just think you've got a really versatile forward, despite him being a big man. But to be fair, the concept of Nicky Cadden whipping in balls to his noggin does sound very tasty. So I think it'd be a great signing. And like the thing is, you need to remember with Scotland, like most of the time, their international players are called up because they're very good football players, even if they don't look it on an international stage. Like players like Grant Hanley and Lyndon Dykes, they'll do magic for Hibs. Like,
let's not go judging Lyndon Dykes. If you not say he does sign, then he starts for Scotland against Denmark. Let's just remember that he's not going to be playing Denmark every week. For Hibs, he will be playing the likes of Ryan McGowan and Danny Wilson and. I don't know who plays for like fucking Falkirk. Your pal.
Liam Henderson.
It's all comparative, is what I'm saying. But there doesn't seem to be anything else. Doesn't seem to be anything else going on really.
2 seconds. I just don't want to go back there. I don't want to hear any slander on Liam Henderson, by the way, because Falkirk just beat Aberdeen at the Dodger yesterday. So just watch it.
I know. The fuck's sake, Craig. Well, we do a wee recap it just to the sort of business that Hibs have done so far. There doesn't seem to be much else going on in terms of rumours of incomings, and the only outgoing, roughly, would be appears to potentially be Eliuan. Looks like his deal to Legia might be off, but he potentially is going elsewhere. But in terms of incomings, Miguel Chaiwa, Grant Hanley, Thibaut Clige, Josh Mulligan, Raphael Salinger, Jamie McGrath, and potentially Lyndon Dykes. Outgoings. Not all the people that have been released at the end of the season, but EP278, Lewis Miller, Jair Tavares, who else is left this summer? Del Ferry went in the middle of the summer, didn't he? And Dylan Venti. I think everyone else all went at the end of a contract. How do you? And obviously, I feel like the biggest one was obviously Triantes not returning. I might throw that one in there as well. How do you feel this window has went as a whole, Harry?
Yeah, I think it's about as good a window as we can hope for. To be honest, I think the players that were in the squad last season, a few of them have already looked better. Like Bowie, for instance, looks like he's taken a massive step forward over the summer. Mulligan's a massive signing for the club. I think McGrath's looked a lot better than I was anticipating. The only player you could say debatably, just because for me, I want Mulligan to remain as a central midfielder as much as possible, is the right wing back area. You'd say that we haven't really replaced Miller. I think that's fair to say. But I think anything less than an A, and you're being really harsh. I think the recruitment team have done really well. And as we mentioned about sensible Hibs earlier, a lot of these players are tied down to more than just one season, which I think is great. So for me, yeah, I'd definitely give an A. Do you want to read out Liam's bit as well?
Yeah, so Liam's obviously given it an A, and basically he's sort of put that down to if Lyndon Dykes is signed, as that says to Liam, that he feels we've held on to all our best players and strengthened in every area of the pitch. I would agree with that. I think Hibs have had a really good window. Chaiwa certainly looks a player that is in the mould of Giannis. I think I don't think he had his best game at the weekend, but he certainly has. Giannis didn't always have his best games either. So I think that's definitely a positive one. No real areas of concern like that are glaringly obvious in the squad. I wouldn't say. Wouldn't mind maybe one or two more bodies if Ellie Yuan was to go. I would maybe think we might actually be one short in the up front, but I do think you could probably wait till January to do some business in that area if we had to. Craig, what's your feelings on the squad currently and the window as a whole?
I'm very, very happy with the window. I think even if you don't get Lyndon Dykes, I still would have been sitting here saying it was a very good window. I think the level of quality that we've got out of the squad compared to the level of quality that we've brought into the squad is brilliant for us. I think some of the players that went out are definitely positive for us as a football club. And yeah, the ones that have come in, it's just, to be honest, we've not had many fluff players. You quite often in the transfer window we'll sign a few players that are just fluff and are just numbers. But the players that we've brought in this year have just been quality.
Yeah.
Jamie McGrath, Josh Mulligan, Cleege, Chaiwa, who looks, it's difficult with some of them without the benefit of hindsight. We might look back in a few months' time and say, "Oh, we were talking rubbish. This player's not turned out to be that great. He's not turned out to be that great." But I think just at the moment, I think Chaiwa in particular has probably maybe changed a few minds within Hibs as well, because I know the Observer were reporting previously that we were still very much putting our number 6 as our number 1 target, even that was just the other week. And I think maybe the performances of Chaiwa in the recent games have maybe put an end to that, and they thought, well, actually, he's ready to go. He's good enough now. So I think it's been a very, very good window. Quality in and lack of quality players have gone out. As in the shit players.
The shite ones and only the good ones.
That's what I meant.
And as well, Hibs have done good business. Again, they're getting decent fees for Venti and Miller. You're probably talking pushing sort of the 2 million mark for a couple of players that that didn't want to be there, and a player that's only had a year left on his contract. So, there's been good business done on both sides, and I think the club deserve a lot of credit. It goes back to what Harry said there about sensible Hibs. If I was to push you, let's work on the assumption that Dykes has signed. If the club could do one more bit of business between now and 11 or 12 o'clock, what would that be for you, Craig? And then you just come in, Harry, as well. Like I said, I think we need a striker if Ellie goes.
Is this in an ideal world where like time constraint isn't really a thing and we just get whatever I want, and it's not like a shitty loan signing?
Well, I think I just expect that we will bring in a couple of loans, because when do you never come on, just bring a couple of
if it could be a quality signing, I would say if I'm picking one, probably a right wing back, probably a Miller type that can maybe or even actually, I'll link it more to somebody that's in our squad currently, an Abita type, somebody that can do the job that Abita does, but on the right hand side. Because I think we did lose that in Miller, that he could fill in at both positions, and probably actually look better at centre half, to be fair. So maybe I'll go there, but at the same time, if it was just going to be some shitty loan signing, some youth player from fucking Blackburn or something, like I wouldn't be interested in that. So, there's my answer.
Nectar Giannis was a shitty loan signing at one point, and
That's
Harry
very
Clark,
true. He was a
Harry's
shitty loan
hero
signing
was
on
a
the last day.
shitty loan signing at some
However,
point.
can I
as well.
caveat that with Nectar Triantis? And I actually did say I was very impressed with Nectar Triantis before he came back on loan the second time. Ross County away, if you were there, you know.
I wouldn't expect Hibs to do it, and I think it would be bad business. I've got a worry about the back line for the 2 games right before the January transfer window. It's like Obita and Rocky are going to be away, and we play Hearts at home and Aberdeen at home right before the window opens. And if Ellie goes, I think we need a striker. I don't like carrying 3. To be honest, I would always want us to carry 4. We do only have like 4 out and out centre backs, and we play with 3. Do you know, like that? Like it would be fine, and Obita can slip in or whatever. But then if Obita slips in, then Nicky Cadden has to play every week. Nicky Cadden's not got a clean bill of health. You know what I mean? I do think maybe if I was being uber picky, I wouldn't mind a body at the back as well. What about you, Harry?
I think as I said, right wing back probably makes, like, someone that can cover that area of the pitch for me probably makes most sense. But then I love left-footed centre backs. I just think that they're great. So I'd sign as many as them as possible. So that's what I'd target if I was director. But I think we're in a good place, so that, like, we're ending the window with potentially adding bits of depth. Like, there's no glaring holes in the first team. Like this time last year, we were thinking we need, I knew this, I knew that. Like, I just think we are in quite a good place.
Well,
Interesting to see Yuan, how he reacts to if he's not got his move again, because early in the day it looked like he was going to be getting it, and it was not a sure thing or anything, but it did look like he was going to be getting his move, and then again it seems to have fallen through.
You'd like to think, though, that a little bit of perspective could be applied. Hibs accepted the offer, so whether it's Legia's fault or his fault, it's not been Hibs' part to play. And if Hibs accept that offer, it's then up to the player and the other, the buying club to negotiate a contract.
I've got a feeling I might have a strop about it, though, Ewan.
Well, look, we've seen it. We've seen it at different points with Ewan where he's reacted well. I think he came in at some point and done well as well. But look, on his day, he's still very much a threat in this league. He scored against Kilmarnock. He set up Rocky against Midtjylland. So, if he's not a player that I would be devastated to see stay. But it does also feel like maybe now is the time for him to move on. But that is all speculation. Are you assuming that he will be gone though, right now?
Who's that?
Yuan
in the summer.
No, aye.
But no. I think he'll still be a Hibs player tomorrow now, by the looks of it.
Right.
By the noises that are coming out, but I mean he's going to leave some Hibs at some point. And to be honest, maybe that's one to your earlier question about was there anything else I would have done. Maybe I would have done that. I would have had Yuan out and somebody else in, and that's not because I dislike Yuan and think that he's rubbish or anything. I'm not buying into that, but I just think maybe it would have been better for everybody, because he definitely strikes me as wanting away, to be honest.
Aye. Yeah. Harry, what? Not anything glaring at all for you, no?
No, but I think I even said a couple of weeks back, like, if the window had closed, I wouldn't be bothered. I think they've done what we finally wanted and we've been asking for years. I think they started the business very early, and we've just got a good squad. And I think David Gray's proven as well, like, players that we'd written off and we weren't expecting to be at the club this time last year, he's turned them around. So I think no matter who they bring in, Gray and the coaching staff will definitely get the best out of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, boys, I think that's pretty much us, isn't it? I don't think there's anything else screaming out. We've got an international break coming up. may well be back next week. We'll sort of share our thoughts on that. We might have something pretty good lined up. We'll wait and see. If we can make that happen. But what any closing thoughts before you go, Craig or Harry?
Any closing thoughts? My closing thoughts would be Hibs. Things are very good at Hibs just now, and when we take a look back at performances in Europe, I think we'll go. That was a sign of things to come. I can see this team having lots and lots of good nights and good days Easter Road. So I feel very, very, very positive. When the Dyke signs, that'll be even more positive, and I think our squad's in a very good place. We've got a squad full of hard-working, what seem like really good people. So yeah, very, very positive.
Yeah. What about
My
yourself,
final thoughts, because I like to end us on things that are nothing related to the episode at all. The Celtic Rangers game is potentially the worst game of football I've ever seen. And I think the last Hibs game, the last game that Hibs were involved in that was that bad, was, I believe, a 0-0 draw in the Scottish Cup against Ayr United at home. And it was so crap. I don't think there was a shot on target. I think Calderwood might be manager. I think we got knocked out in the replay. I don't know if that was Calderwood. It was around that like kind of time era. But I just remember being there when I was younger and thinking, this is crap. So is there a game of Hibs that you can think of?
Mate, I can give you a worse one than that. With the huge caveat that it did get very, very tasty at the end and was probably worth the admission fee just for the last bust up at the end, and that was Hibs versus Morton at Easter Road.
God.
And then when Lenny and Jim Duffy were at each other's throat, that game was honestly so bad. It was horrible to watch.
For personal reasons at the time that I won't disclose, I didn't even. I endured about 60 minutes of that game, and had to basically rush off, so I didn't even get to see the bust up at the end of it.
Oh mate!
So I literally got to watch
brilliant.
an hour of shit football and then miss the goodness at the end.
It was a free boxing match.
Aye. Well, it's been a pretty low-key deadline day episode compared to what we've had probably the last 2 or 3 years on the podcast. But I tell you what, boys, I think low-key deadline day is a sign of a pretty competent football club. So long may that continue. I'm on the cabbage. See you after the break.
Hibs.